moments before I hit record, he just randomly sang in German to me.
And a bit of French.
Well, it was Cabaret. Old
Cabaret.
Nightcrawler. Alan Cumming was in Cabaret.
I bet he was. That's a very Alan Cumming musical.
Nightcrawler was not, because Nightcrawler is not allowed to have nice things, as neither are we. Welcome to Big Damn Review, the show where we give our spoiler-free thoughts on a movie we've either just seen or saw recently. This week it is Dark Phoenix, aka X-Men Dark Phoenix in European territories. Is that the Dark Phoenix?
What's the Dark Phoenix?
I don't know what's more frightening, your commitment to that, or the person floating in the air behind you.
Oh.
It's a shirt on a door. Which is probably the most exciting way to describe this movie. It's like a shirt on a door.
Now, I'm going to say that this is not the worst X-Men film.
No.
But it's not enough of a train wreck, ironically, to get really worked up about.
Yeah.
It's like it's
boring.
not X-Men Apocalypse level of fucking awful.
Yeah.
Or X-Men Origins Wolverine, like barely competent filmmaking.
Oh God.
It's just a bit dull.
Dull.
It's dull.
Dull.
Dull as fucking dishwater.
Simon Kinberg, the director of this,
And
wrote...
writer.
Yeah, he wrote X-Men The Last Stand. And like Avi Arad... Before him, with Venom, it seems that this guy has a very clear vision of what he wants the Dark Phoenix to be, right down to the visuals of them in the same costume.
Guy loves a trench coat. Guy loves
a red trench coat.
A crimson leather trench coat.
Yeah, which magically dissipates when she doesn't need to be the Phoenix anymore for reasons. As a result, it's... If you're a fan of the X-Men comics... This is not the Dark Phoenix saga condensed into an hour 45-minute runtime.
If you're a fan of the X-Men comics, then you are used at this point to the bitter tang of disappointment that comes with a new X-Men film.
This is more a remake / sort of adaptation of X-Men The Last Stand's B-plot with Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Set 9 years, I think, after the events of Apocalypse.
It's set in 1992 for...
reasons. Because there's a gimmick of the decade hopping, I guess. Because between each of these X-Men movies, stuff has happened. So they have to have a passage of time. The problem is that passage of time means that Hank McCoy is now in his late 50s and yet looks like Nicholas Hoult. Weird, right?
Sorry.
It's weird. We sat there at the cinema, me and Lucy, and I was like, he should be in his late 50s by this point.
This is...
Xavier should also be in his late 50s by this point, as should Magneto be in his late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, because he's Ian McKellen in 2000.
Well, that's
This is
in
8 years
the not
before
too
that.
distant future. It's about 2001. Yeah, it's that meme doing the rounds on Twitter is wonderful. Picture of Fassbender in First Class, picture of Fassbender in Apocalypse.
Yeah.
A picture of Fassbender in this movie, and then a picture of McKellen in X-Men 1 that says, "What happened to this man in 8 years?" Fassbender's the only person who comes out of this unscathed. It's boring because it's the same Magneto story we've had for 3 films in a row now. Oh, I'm out of this game. Leave me alone. We have peace over here. I have a family or people to take care of, with no reflection on or reference to his previous losses.
I feel
at all. But in the last one, his world was destroyed. His wife and daughter were killed. They're never mentioned or acknowledged in this movie at all.
I feel like they've got the best... Magneto's the character they've got the best handle on.
I mean, there's a proto-Genosha in this.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're never going to see what that could become because this is the last film. So...
This is a film I've noticed where they don't like naming things or people.
Yeah.
There's at least 3 characters in this that are never named on screen. Like speaking characters.
Braid dude.
Yeah, the two of
psychic knife lady.
Yeah, the two of
once again, this is another X-Men movie where the villains sort of like immediate henchmen are unnamed, boring characters with visually odd powers.
Yeah. I feel like
oh my god, Kinberg wrote Last Stand.
Oh yeah.
Which was the last one where there was like a group of nondescript, vaguely powered mutants.
I feel like at one point the psychic knife lass was supposed to be Psylocke. And Olivia Moon just went, nah.
One and
Don't
done!
blame her for, really.
Just like Angel.
Yeah.
Just like Jubilee.
Oh, yeah.
They're not in this movie, but they're in the last one. Apparently, Jubilee's actor, she said that there was a scheduling conflict, so she just couldn't do it.
Yeah, the scheduling conflict is that I'm scheduled to be doing anything else.
So,
And you're scheduled to be making X-Men.
Who returns and how do they fare? Storm, as pointless as last time in terms of what they give her to do. I'm sure Alexandra Shipp is great. We don't get to see her be great. She's just there. Scott Summers, Ty Sheridan's got more to deal with, but his chemistry with Sophie Turner isn't great.
And he has all the charisma of a wet fart. Like.
Yeah, I'm sure he's brilliant, but I've not seen
in
him
this.
anything recently where he's...
And not in Ready Player One.
God, no one came out of that unscathed. Cody
Spit McPhee.
Spit McPhee, as Nightcrawler, barely used.
I like what he's doing with it, but...
He gets across enough characterisation for you to be like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
But that's it.
But, you know.
Evan Peters as Quicksilver, massively disserviced. The film basically took the one bit of advice that we all gave it last time, which was, hey, maybe hold back on the Quicksilver a little bit, and took that too far. Jennifer Lawrence is collecting a paycheck and letting you know that that's all she's doing. The makeup for Mystique is so simplified. There is one transformation moment for Mystique in the whole thing, and that's just her into her Jennifer Lawrence persona.
She checked out of this.
Which is weird, because in these films they make a whole big thing of her getting over that in First Class, but now that's how she looks when she's on downtime? In the mutant manner?
Because Jennifer Lawrence doesn't want to wear that makeup anymore.
Which has already been simplified like crazy. At no point, and I'm not saying this from like a, Skinamax, but like at no point in this movie is Mystique the way we visually know her from this series, at any point in this film. She's always in an X-Man uniform, just a head and a hand showing. Jennifer Lawrence had and I'm not saying like we need to see her naked, but I'm saying like think of the commitment to the role in terms of the aesthetic they were going with. Rebecca Romijn in the original X-Men, they went for this whole thing of we want you to look like a human chameleon hybrid. You are a blue chameleon humanoid. That is your look. And Jennifer Lawrence is so sick of that in every possible way, but it comes across because of her performance as more of a I can't be arsed. Not I disagree with that. More, I can't be arsed. So as a result, this is the most simplified makeup Mystique has ever had. She's got some prosthetics on her forehead. She's got blue sparkly skin, blue hands. That's your lot. And it's like, wow, the effort is not coming across in any aspect of your performance, delivery, or appearance.
But it's not like they do a ton with her, so it's
she's not in the film a lot. She's in the film enough for them to put footage in trailers and be like, Jennifer Lawrence, guys. Whom else? McAvoy tries so hard. Charles... The more interesting aspects of Charles's relationship with his students, i.e. the stuff where it's like, maybe you went a bit too far in protecting them there, Charles, is explored in this, but not enough. And everyone treats him like he's the villain when really it's more of a grey area, and then it's accepted and moved on.
Grey area.
Sophie Turner is not great in this. She is emoting like a motherfucker. She's trying her best, but the material she's given is not good enough.
Like half of her scenes in this are like blubbing and
just her crying. One of them felt like a bad improv. Do you remember that bit in the alley where she's just sort of like, I don't know what's happening to me? And it's like, it feels like they've basically gone... Because here's the thing, not all actors can improvise naturally, and that's fine. They can be phenomenal performers and they just can't. Improv's not their comfort zone.
People have weaknesses.
I get the sense that Sophie Turner can't improv.
I mean...
Because that felt... If that was a scripted line, it was a dreadful scripted line and a pointless little moment. If it was improvised, it was a hammy line that a director then had gone, okay, we're going to do it one more time, go with that energy, but say this. And no, it just felt awkward. So this film, what I'm basically saying with that is this film isn't playing to her strengths at all. As a result, she comes across as ineffective and dull, aside from the badass moments. The badass moments are bits where it's like, yeah, that's cool, but they don't feel earned. So they're pointless. You could watch the actions when Movie Clips on YouTube, or one of those channels that just puts clips online, does the action set pieces from this in like a year's time. Binge them, and you'll get all the good stuff this movie has to offer.
Also, the action set pieces for this are kind of like clip shows in themselves. I mean, we'll go into it when we do the spoiler talk in the podcast, but there is the sort of climactic action sequence feels like a bunch of separately filmed action bits that were all edited together, but you don't get a sense of the wider geography of what's actually happening.
That entire scene was part of the reshoots.
Yeah. So it's like...
I wonder what the original climax was.
Will we ever know?
Probably you see a version of a deleted scene from it maybe on the Blu-ray, but who's buying that? So...
Not me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just feels like they've done stuff separately and then put it all together, but it doesn't... There's not enough connective tissue for it to feel like you know what's going on, and because you don't know where you are in relation to where people want to get to, you don't have any feeling for the stakes, and it's like, oh, that's a cool action moment. Again, particularly from Fassbender as Magneto, like they really play with how...
Magneto, once again, is the most interestingly visual character in the X-Men franchise.
They really play with his powers in this in an interesting way.
It's pretty cool stuff.
But
also, like, when you stack it up against the other three films in this quadrilogy, his power set is so undefined. In Days of Future Past, the dude lifts up a football stadium, and moves it around the White House, or wherever the government are.
Something like that.
In Days of Future Past, he rips all the metal tracks off of a train track and fills the Sentinels with them and basically uses them as puppets and is controlling each of them by doing that.
I think the stadium thing's in Days of Future Past as well.
Yeah, no, it's part of that set piece because he's the stadium and then he brings the Sentinels.
Yeah.
But like that's him going, oh my god, he's MVP. In First Class, the best of these four movies, he stops a shitload of missiles and redirects them and fires them.
Yeah.
Magneto's powerful. In this, he struggles to pull something out of the ground at one point that is so nowhere near the same capacity as those things.
I think that's more to do with
him waiting
distance
for the moment
and obstacles than it is with the actual thing he's trying to pull.
But when you've seen the stadium, this dude could probably just go, pull that here it is. It's sort of it's uneven based on what information this series is giving us.
Let's without going into spoilers in no uncertain terms, as a sequel to any of the other X-Men films, and as a film that's set within this continuity, this makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Like, none of it makes any sense.
Apocalypse ends with Jean Grey using her powers on Apocalypse, and the Phoenix sort of flame imagery flares up around her. This movie not only doesn't pick up on that, it acts as though that never happened because the Phoenix Force is a separate entity that's introduced in this film.
Well, there's the problem with the X-Men films.
If you back to back these, there is no immediate continuity between them. Never mind the usual X-Men film stuff.
The problem with them is that they if they were presented as standalone things where you didn't really.
If I'd have been in it, it would have been probably just as bad, but there would have been a handsome Australian guy.
So the problem with the X-Men films in general that Fox have done is that there's no. If they were just presented as standalone things with like minimal continuity and the same actors playing like broad strokes roles, then it might work. But because these films make detailed references to other films while also contradicting those films, sometimes within the same scene, then it just falls apart completely. And continuity it's one thing to not get hung up on continuity because especially in comics, because comics are fucking weird, but when you have to be clever about continuity if you're referring to it constantly. If it's not consistent but you're hinging things on it, then it's just going to fall apart. Whereas if you're inconsistent with it and it doesn't really matter, then you can sort of fudge it and get away with it. Which they do in comics all the time. But also, this is a movie, it's not comics. So this isn't like trying to compress 50 years of history into like a decade to make the stories that you're telling now make sense. This is just loosely this sort of happened here and we're sort of going towards this point. But also we're going to contradict ourselves in terms of what actually happened and when and with who, and also no one's aged in the last decade. No one's aged in the last... It's been... By the time this movie takes place, it's been nearly 30 years since X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
And no one looks
look at the young students. Cyclops, Jean, Storm and Kurt are all... And Quicksilver, for some reason, are all students at the school. They're all still sort of considered student, like Hank's teaching,
they're the
Mystique's teaching.
They're the recently graduated class. You see Storm teaching.
Okay, right. Okay,
so they're like the recently graduated class. They're the most recent graduates.
I'll buy that. Quicksilver's about 40, based on when we first meet him in the 70s in Days of Future Past. These guys all join the X-Men roughly in the year before the events of Apocalypse, which take place in 83, because they come out of Return of the Jedi from the cinema and they make a joke about the third one in the trilogy is never as good. Which is hilarious because it was obviously meant to be a joke about Last Stand, but it's like,
what about
the other third one in
the trilogy?
But they do that, and then this is 9 years later, and these kids are still kids and are referred to as kids, and are all actually would be in their early 30s to mid 30s based on when they were discovered. I mean, Jean is 7 or 8 in 1975 in the flashback at the beginning. So
let's say just after.
Let's say she's 8.
Past.
Let's say she's 8.
Yeah.
This is 92, so she would be 26, 25 by now.
No, more than that, because what, 20?
If she was 8 in 75, she'd be 18 in 85. She'd be 28 in 95. This is 92. She'd be 25.
Okay, yeah.
So she'd be 25. So it's like, okay, she's not a recently graduated student then. Like, she would have graduated several years prior. But not just that, mutant powers don't manifest till you're in your puberty sort of stages around 13, 14.
She was an early bloomer.
Why? Do we ever touch on that? Do we ever explain that?
I mean, to be fair, if we're going off the source material, that's inconsistent in the source material also.
Yeah, I suppose.
So, I'm not gonna dock points like I'm keeping score for that. But yeah, I mean,
you summed up the entirety of this movie perfectly before by saying it made Jessica Chastain look terrible. That's difficult.
And it's not.
It's not brilliant.
It's not catastrophically bad, and there's good moments in it. They even get some interesting moments of characterization and theme, but it's just kind of plods from place to place to place, and characters end up in places because they need to be there for the plot rather than actually like people appear in places that they don't show any prior knowledge of.
Yeah.
With no explanation as to how they get there, or how they found it, or how long it took to get there. The time that this movie takes place over is vague and weird. Like, is it a week? Is it like 3 days? We don't know.
There's a couple of really questionable
stuff's happening.
There's a couple of really questionable cameos that further confuse is this the same timeline as the original series?
What's going on?
Like at the very end, you see a student in the corridor. It's like, but they're in the originals and they're that age a bit more 20 years from now. What? Yeah. Although there is one cameo where I'm like, it was a gratuitous cameo of a fan favorite character, and I was like, all right, I accept that because it's self-contained.
Yeah, and just,
you know full well which one I'm talking about.
I was like, that probably would have fit better in Days of Future Past because of the period. But hey, whatever.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was like, we're probably never going to see that character get a full movie anytime soon. Fair enough. There they are in live action. They aren't shat on.
No, it's the most comics accurate rendition of an X-Men character in any of the X-Men films that you've ever seen, and it's a one scene cameo.
FAQs: Wolverine cameo, no, good. Post credit scene, no,
I didn't
good.
even bother to stay.
Is it definitive end for the series? No, but it is legally so. Does it end on a sequel bait? No, but it has an open ending that is obviously like, oh, wouldn't you like to see where this goes? And the thing is, the very last note, the second to last note of the movie, I'm like, okay, but we're never going to see it. So, and I'm not mourning it in any way. No. Is it the worst X-Men film? No. I think X-Men Origins and Apocalypse exist in this little bottom of a well.
They are really, really
beneath
bad.
Everything. And
it's no Apocalypse.
I think this one's climbing halfway up the well.
The thing is,
it can see some light, but it doesn't deserve the light.
Like, this is the last one, but because it's not excruciatingly awful, it doesn't go out on a low. Because it's not incredible, it doesn't go out on a high. It just goes out on a sort of. It's a wet fart of a movie. Like, it's just like.
Put that on the poster.
Fine.
If you want to know our specifics for why we were not fans, you have to listen to Big Damn Cast 155, coming out this week. Do watch it with your eyes on YouTube, or listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud.
It is almost exclusively audio, so you listen to it, don't watch it.
Yeah, it's on the podcast app, because iTunes isn't a thing anymore, apparently. So, yeah, we're also going to be talking about E3 reveals this week, giving a little tease about what to expect next week for our 3rd anniversary.
A wet fart.
Yeah, probably. So, without further ado, bye X-Men franchise.
For about 5 to 6 years until Disney get their shit together and like, this could be the most bankable franchise we ever make because the X-Men were big and then, oh wait, we're not Avi Arad.